Maybe you're the one who never posts. Or maybe you know someone like that, and you've never quite understood why. Either way, something about that silence has stayed with you. There's a specific kind of person who moves through life without leaving a digital trail. No proof of the vacation, no selfie after a good day. Something significant happens, and nothing appears. To the people around them, it can read as distance, or mystery, or even a quiet form of judgment, as if not participating is itself a statement. But if you're the one who doesn't post, if you've ever struggled to explain why you just don't need to, you already know it's not a statement. It's more like the absence of a compulsion that other people seem to have, and you never did, or had once and lost somewhere along the way. The question worth sitting with is what that difference actually means. The human mind orients itself through comparison, not as a flaw, it's almost architectural, the way we locate ourselves in relation to other people. You see someone's life, and somewhere beneath the surface, a quiet calibration begins. Social media didn't invent this. What it did was build a permanent infrastructure around it, spaces where that comparison runs constantly, automatically, and almost always against the most edited version of other people's lives. Every post enters that system, and the person who rarely posts has in some way stepped outside it. Their sense of where they stand doesn't run on the same inputs. But there's something underneath even that. There's an idea in social theory that all interaction involves a kind of performance, not in a cynical sense, more that whenever you're present with other people, choices are being made. What to reveal, what to hold back, which version of yourself fits the moment. Online, that performance has a stage with no closing time. The impression you manage can be seen by hundreds of people, archived, held up against its older versions, compared. The person who doesn't post hasn't necessarily rejected self-presentation. They've declined this particular stage. They still show up, in rooms, in conversations, in the texture of being physically present with someone. They've just chosen venues that disappear when the moment ends. If you love someone like this, that might be the thing that's always been slightly disorienting about them. They're fully present when they're with you, but they don't exist in the way you're used to people existing, persistently, publicly, available to be checked on. It can feel, sometimes, like they're not quite participating, like they're keeping something back. Maybe they're not keeping something back. Maybe the version of them you get in the room is the whole thing, unedited, not saved, not archived. What you experience is what there is. Now, something worth being honest about, and it's harder than it sounds. Not everyone who goes quiet online is doing it from a place of fullness. Sometimes the silence isn't peace, it's avoidance. Fear of being seen wrong. Fear of committing to a version of yourself that can be judged, compared, held against you later. These two things, security and anxiety, look identical from the outside. The same empty profile, the same absence from the feed. The difference lives entirely in the interior. If you're the one who doesn't post, does the quiet feel like a room you chose to be in, or one you're afraid to leave? That's not a rhetorical question. It's worth actually asking, because both are real, both are common, and one of them tends to masquerade as the other for years before you notice. And if you're trying to understand someone who moves this way, it might be worth sitting with the fact that you can't know which it is from the outside. The distance you perceive might be freedom, or it might be something they're still figuring out. Probably, at different moments, it's both. What this points toward is a question about witnessing. Every experience, in some quiet way, seems to seek acknowledgement, not necessarily from a crowd, but from somewhere, a friend across a table, a journal entry at the end of the night, the simple act of pausing and letting yourself feel that something happened. The question isn't whether an experience needs a witness. It might always need one. The question is who that witness has to be. For many people, the architecture of online life has gradually moved that witness outside, into the reactions of others, into the number that appears under a photo, into the confirmation that arrives from people who weren't there. The experience and the record of it have become so intertwined that one starts to feel incomplete without the other. A clear sense of self doesn't require documentation. When someone knows what they value and why, when who they are doesn't shift depending on who's watching, the need to announce diminishes, not because they have nothing to share, because the sharing was never load-bearing. If you're the one who doesn't post, you likely know this feeling from the inside. The meal was good, the moment was full, and that was enough. You were your own witness. You didn't need anyone else in the room for it to be real.
That's not a small thing. It's actually quite rare. But maybe the more interesting question isn't what it means to not post. Maybe it's what it reveals about all of us that posting became the default, that somewhere along the way, the experience started to feel incomplete until it was seen. Think about how quietly that happened. No one decided it. No one announced that living would now require a record. It just became the water, and most people were already swimming before they noticed. Not wrong, just worth noticing. What does an experience need in order to feel real to you, if you're honest about it? If something here landed, if you recognized yourself, or finally started to understand someone you've been trying to read, leave one word in the comments, whatever came up while you were listening.